Hello and welcome to #Real Talk, the truth about youth and social media, a podcast by Sansad TV where we'll be decoding the impact of social media on our lives and on the society in general, but with a youth perspective, a perspective which promises to be fresh, interesting, educative and dynamic. And for that very purpose, I'm your host Abhinandan Kaul, and today with me I have three very young, dynamic and bright minds with me. They are perhaps the first generation who saw social media from its inception, lived through its evolution, and I guess are avid users now. So thank you so much for being here with us today, and I'm sure that you all have a great deal of experiences and a great deal of perspectives that you're going to bring to the table today. So it's going to be a very fruitful discussion, and I hope that our viewers also get a clear view about what social media is and the various dimensions and issues that concern it. So a hearty welcome once again, and before we start our discussion, I think it would be prudent if each one of you can give us a brief introduction. Tell us about yourself, what you do, and also, if you can, tell us about something about what social media means to you. Say social media means different things to different people, right? There can be some people who use social media as a tool to say get pleasure and enjoy in their free time. Then there are those who use social media as a tool to sort of interact and network. And then again, there are those who use it as a livelihood itself. So social media means different things, and I want to hear it completely, that what it means to you, and let's hear it all.
Hi, my name is Janvi Sarangi and I am a law student at University of Delhi. I am also another consumer of content on social media. It is my source for leisure, entertainment and information. And I think I'm still exploring all the tangents of whatever it has to offer me.
Hi, I'm Aditya Bhatnagar. I am a commercial pilot and also I'm an influencer on Instagram. So it is also a means of livelihood for me now, even though I never thought that, I can make money out of it, but I'm also a consumer and a producer as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Ritvik Mehta. I'm the founder of a youth-led policy think tank, Niti Tantra. For me, social media is a platform to share my views about government policies, as well as to connect with those experts who are in the field of public policy, like connecting with various economists or those who have very good hold over the geopolitics. At the same time, I also use social media to hire those people who are interested in public policy, the researchers, LinkedIn being one of the best platforms for me. But nowadays, I do find people on messaging me on Instagram, on Twitter as well. So, all these platforms are serving a good platform to hire researchers.
All right, so that's very interesting. It's fascinating to hear, right, that one thing, social media, it can be used in infinite number of ways. You can use it for networking, you can use it for a livelihood and so on. You all very eloquently mentioned that, and I'm happy that we have such a diverse panel today with us. We have a student, and then we have an influencer in the house, the star, and then we have a policy analyst and political consultant. So it's very, very interesting, and I hope that we have a great discussion today. Let's start our discussion from something that I believe is very important for all of us by virtue of being human beings, and that's mental health, right? Because a sound mind is one of the most important things that we have to have. The mind is sort of a seat of consciousness wherein all the thoughts and ideas take incept, and then we act on them using our body and our actions. So therefore, it's natural that since social media has such a great role to play, it is integrated within our lives to such a great extent, it certainly will impact your mental health. So what I want to know is, what do you think as avid users of social media and those who have been using since the early days of its inception, what do you think is the impact of social media on mental health, both in positive and negative terms? It's possible it's a double-edged sword, right? And also, if there's some negative effect, how can we sort of curb that negative effect and we can just take up the positives and leverage social media and the power that it gives?
I believe when we were first introduced to social media in our teens, we did not see it becoming what it is today. Today, I think with the more exposure that we have to social media, the more validation and acceptance that we seek online on these platforms, we are also getting socially isolated. So as much as I believe it is a place where we can socially network and connect, make global friends, it is also a place where we feel isolation because we're not able to live a life that somebody on the internet is portraying to live. For example, recently we have seen a rise in eating disorders, which are arising due to the toxic ideal body types or ideal body goals that are being put up or performed online. And I mean, there is another study where cosmetologists have coined a term called the Snapchat dysmorphia, which has arisen due to the filters, the rise in number of Photoshop that is being happening on the platforms. But at the same time, I also think that social media is also a platform where a lot of people suffering through mental health problems, issues, let's say like for depression, can channel their thoughts, find the self-help groups, find people they can relate with and talk about and bring more conversation to it.
All right. So, I mean, that's an interesting dichotomy that you pointed out. Social media was made in order to help us connect with each other, but now it's making us distant from each other, right? It's leading to issues like social isolation, and then it leads to anxiety and depression. So that's a very interesting way to look at it. And certainly, there's this kind of perfect image that people tend to portray on social media. We have the perfect life. Only the highlights of life are shown on social media, the perfect parts. And when you see that, then you start to, I mean, even if you have a strong personality, in your subconscious mind, you tend to sort of compare yourself with that person. And then again, that kind of unfair comparison, it leads to some social some dissonance, and then it's a major issue. But yeah, and then the positive aspect certainly is there. I mean, you have access to support groups, and you can get in touch with people, like-minded people, and you can also congregate and hold sessions, etc. So that's a very interesting perspective, both a positive and a negative. So what do you have to add to this, Aditya? You are a social media influencer, so I think you'd have very nuanced opinion about this.
As a producer, obviously, I would say it's a good thing. But social media has its own pros and cons. But we can certainly agree that, screens make us unhappy. That is for sure. And it can be the constant urge to see what other people are up to, seeing what they're posting. And it's obviously their curated life. It is not something which they're actually doing. So let's say, one person is having one good day out of 365 days, and he will post that. And the rest days are very bad. He will not post that. So when I see that, I'm thinking, oh, he's having the time of his life. And it's not just one person. I'm following 100 other people. So now I know that, 100 people are having such a good life. And then I compare it with my life. So obviously, I feel sad about it. Or you would envy other people. So I think there is another point. She said eating disorders, about the eating point. So this happened with me yesterday. I was just scrolling through my social media. And then I saw burgers on my feed. And then I had this urge to order a burger at 3 a.m. in the morning. So it obviously, affects your buying patterns as well. It affects consumerism as well.
All right, that was interesting. I mean, certainly I think that comparison, especially on social media, is the source of all sorrow. So viewers should take note and tend not to compare themselves, rather be confident about yourselves, and somewhat, we can also take motivation. I mean, even if people are showing their own perfect lives, we can take some motivation from them, and we can say, okay, someday even I want to be this, even I want to go to these places or do these things. And certainly, this is a very, very important point that you pointed out, that in social media, you're exposed to different kinds of information constantly. You will be exposed to some new game, then some new food item, and then your cravings start. And certainly cravings are not going to follow the clock, and 3 a.m. in the morning, you're going to have to order those burgers. And what do you have to say, Ritvik?
I consider that there are two words. It's social media, another it's shosan media. The Hindi word shoshan, exploitation. So here we are ourselves getting exploited by the content that is across the social media platforms. Talking about first of all, the positive aspect of it. So I have seen a lot of people, those who put up motivational videos across the social media platforms, and I have seen people, especially in the rural areas, after seeing those videos, especially those who want to crack competitive exams. So it has somehow impacted their lives as well. They got the motivation to crack the competitive exams also, or do something for the society or anything they wanted to achieve. But at the same time, then you told that it's a double-edged sword about the negative aspect. So what I find is that when on social media, when they try to express their views, so there will be people who will have very different ideologies. They will express their views in their own way, and there can be some vulgar comments as well. it will impact your mental health as well, because we are not ready for the type of comments that we are going to get on our posts. So I think so that has to be tackled, and we can't just solve this problem by saying that okay, you put out the content, it's your views, so you have to handle it. No, like the government regulations also have to come into it. There are regulations, there are laws across the world which delete those comments, those vulgar comments after reviewing it within 24 hours, and our government is doing it under the data protection bill. There are provisions for that.
So you've given a very nuanced perspective, and by virtue of being a policy expert, you're mentioning laws and what the authorities can do. That's certain. But what I want to also know, because since we have viewers who may be avid users and are avid users of social media, what are some ways that individually, we can sort of leverage social media's benefits, but at the same time we can just, sort of avoid those negative things, right? One way is to not compare yourself, but it's easier said than done, right? So what are some ways, because you guys have been avid users, so as a consumer, what are the things that you would do in order to sort of just take the positives home and leave the negatives aside that social media has to offer?
I think one of the ways that we can actually do is something like talking about it, like we are talking about it today, having more dialogue about it, becoming more aware about our usage. I think in the initial years when we are introduced to social media, we just see all the charisma behind it, the fabrics of, the fancy behind it. But the older you get, you start realizing, the impact of something like doom scrolling, or the impact of the number of hours you're spending online, or the screen time, everything having to do with your, like you said, physical health, your mental health. For me personally, what has worked in this venture of striking this balance between the goods and the bads is, I think, being aware of my screen time. Today we do in our smartphones also have these facilities in their settings where we can regulate our screen time with pertaining to certain apps. Another thing I've been using lately is the Forest app, which helps me lock my phone and focus and prioritize my work. And you can also compete with your friends on that as well. So whoever is spending as many hours away from their phone, away from social media. More so, I think we should also, actively choose how we see our notifications. These small things that can cause, because the platform is designed in a way to distract us. It is designed in a way to keep their business model running, where we keep coming back to them again and again. But I think if we find our own ways that can help us out of this situation, I'm sure, I have been working on it for a while now, and I am getting somewhere.
So I think the gist of what you're trying to say is that self-awareness is the key.
Yes.
And to achieve that self-awareness, you can use apps, and like the Forest app you just mentioned. And it's very funny that people are now even competing on how much social media time you're using. They're competing on something positive, but okay. So what are your views on this, Aditya, as an influencer?
As an influencer, I think the key is to be an influencer. By influencer, I mean to produce content. So if you're busy producing something, if you're busy doing something, you won't have time to scroll. I've tried the app, Forest app. Earlier it used to help, but I don't think I have that willpower to, screen time. I would stop my screen time. And I think the best way to tackle that problem is, it is a hack, which I found out. So you can change your screen settings. Just convert it into a grayscale mode. So now it's all black and white. Now you do not see the colors. When that happens, then it is not much stimulating. So in that case, you would just, not want to open your phone. It is a very dull phone. Now it's just a box for you. You're doing your work. You need to be self-aware that, you need to have the agenda that, okay, today I'm opening WhatsApp because I have to message this person, or opening social media because I'm doing this particular thing, not to doom scroll. So when you're self-aware, as you already talked about, that would help you reduce your screen time and be mentally fine with what you're doing.
All right, so that's a very unique idea, that you just get off the colors of your phone, and then it won't look that attractive. So you tend to pick it up less. So yes, I think that's something that viewers can certainly do. And what do you think, Ritvik? I mean, apart from the solutions that you gave from governmental perspective or a law perspective, as an individual, what can be done in this?
So I think so. It was the first step towards this was to make me realize that okay, these social media influencers, they have a similar lives as just like we have. And on social media, of course, just like both of them said, that on social media they want to put out the only happy things. Okay, they are enjoying, they are having a vacation, or they are producing content, having a very successful life, but also they also face demotivation, just like we also face sometimes. So I do have some people, social media influencers in my contacts. I talk to them, so it gives me something that okay, like I'm not different from them. Secondly, I also make it a point that I have to meet my friends like every weekend, and we have to keep our phones aside when we are going to meet. That is also one of the points that we can take it, that when you are with your family on a while having dinner or having lunch with your friends or family as well, just put your phone aside.
Just
and
switch it off.
Yeah, just not switch it off, you can say. Just avoid it, like you have family time or
switch
me
your
time.
brain off from thinking
correct.
about the notifications, right?
Yes.
So another solution can probably be just switch off the notifications altogether, except for the phone, so that people can reach out to you. So yes, certainly.
You know, lately I went to a restaurant where they have this system where they have a jar and you can all put your phones in it and they seal it. So if you don't use it throughout the meal, they give you a 10-20% discount off.
That's a great thing. I mean, I'll ask you the restaurant's number. I would like to go there.
I would like to add something.
Yeah.
So at my home, this is what my mom has come up with. So in the kitchen near the dining room, so we have this space called no phone zone. So if anyone is seen with a phone, then we give a punishment, and then the person has to do that. So that is something you can come up with. And also one more point to tackle your social media addiction, or so that you do not use it much. So you can unfollow all the pages which do not add productive value to your life and which does not trigger you opening your phone. So that is something which you can do.
Certainly. I mean, social media initially had the motive of, as I said, connecting us and also being productive. But now there's this new kind of concept that's emerged of brain rot, right? This is low effort content which is weirdly, you can say, interesting or maybe novel. That's why we get addicted to it and we spend endless hours scrolling it, right? So that's interesting to know, that how we can balance this offline and online lives, because I believe that in the words of Lord Buddha, the Madhyam Marg, or the right balance, has to be achieved. You can't live in isolation, right? So now that we have talked about these next so-called negative aspects of social media, I would like to move on to a more positive aspect that may have negative implications as well, and that is of using social media as a producer. Right now we were just talking how as a consumer we should protect ourselves and etc. But as a producer, you can see that how social media in the last 10-15 years, it has led to a growth of an entirely new economy. We have social media influencers, one sitting with us here, and we have entrepreneurs who are opening new apps, and certainly even the forest app that you just mentioned, it also exists because social media is addictive. It exists because of social media. So this entire economic ecosystem has been created by social media, and at the same point of time, it has also, as you had mentioned earlier, affected the consumer behavior, wherein there are trends that come and go. So people start to purchase things impulsively. So what do you think, in detail, how has social media in this respect been a positive change of positive force, wherein it has empowered people economically, and at the same time, how is it also, its negative impact, rather it's led to impulsive spending, affected consumer behavior, and what is the way out of this?
Yes, I totally agree. If we see today in India, we are a huge digital economy, and social media is a huge part of it. It helps us foster entrepreneurship. It helps us, it may be your neighborhood baker or your neighborhood tailor, but today they have a social media presence, which helps them gain more customers, provide growth to their business. But at the same time, like Aditya here mentioned, that there is a change in consumer behavior, there is a change in spending patterns. We see that we are easily influenced into buying things we might have never needed. We are all somewhere dressed the same way, wearing the same watches, the same shoes, because our point of influence has been the same. We are all getting influenced by the same influencers. Sometimes we do fall for the marketing gimmicks, the tricks. We do not realize as consumers that the content we are consuming is shaping our habits of expenditure and spending. So yes, obviously I totally agree, but at the same time, like you said, the entire part where it is fostering entrepreneurship, it is giving a chance to small businesses to have that kind of an online presence and reach to various cities in the country or globally. So the globalization aspect of it is also a very positive outlook.
I definitely agree. It leads to mass overconsumption. Let's say I see this person posting different pictures, and every time she or he they're wearing something different. So then I think that I need to buy more clothes as well. I need to look different every day. I cannot repeat my outfit. So obviously it's bad for your wallet. It's bad for the environment as well. So that is one thing. And about the good part, obviously we're just talking about the bad things right now. But obviously you get to connect with your friends. I can obviously not practically be connected to everyone on social media, but I know what my friend is up to. Also in my free time, I learn a lot of new things as well. Let's say there's this creator I follow and he's telling about filmmaking or anything. So I would follow him. I get to learn a lot of things as well.
All right. So Ritvik, do you have to add something to this?
So for me, it's like a social media economy. I come from Amritsar, and I remember that Amritsar is one of the special item is like Amritsari Jutti, Punjabi Jutti, you might have heard about it. So there I got the shopkeeper connected with one of the social media influencer. That influencer made a video for that. He started selling it online. He also put out some budget for the meta ads as well, and within 2 weeks or 3 weeks he said that my sales went from like 5 lakhs to 15-16 lakhs around through the meta ads, through the social media. So I think so it's a social media economy, and I was reading that report that around by the end of this year this whole economy will reach in India by 2800 crores, and even the governments are also spending on hiring social media influencers so that it can create an impact to create awareness about the public policy.
Oh, that's very interesting to hear that now, and this is a major positive, isn't it, that government can use social media influencers who hold real influence in the public in order to sort of improve the penetration of schemes, bring up more awareness about social issues. So that's a new domain, and that actually brings me to another segment of this show, wherein social media, it gives us a sort of a voice, right? And it's not only giving us a voice, it also helps us amplify them. People of other generations, when social media didn't exist, they didn't have this opportunity. They could say things, they could write things, but they didn't have the audience. But now social media, you can see that you make a normal tweet. If that goes viral, even if you're a nobody, no one knows you, you're not that, you're a private person. But when that goes viral, everyone will hear what you have to say. And I'm sure that even our viewers would notice this, that regularly on platforms like Instagram or X, that was formerly Twitter, people, you see that famous celebrities and famous leaders, they get ratioed by accounts of low follower count or anonymous accounts. And for the context of the viewers, ratioing basically means that when your reply to a post, it gets more likes and gets more engagement as compared to the original post itself. So it basically shows that more people agree with what you're saying rather than what the other person has said. So that kind of voice, that kind of power, that's what social media has given us. But at the same time, as we mentioned and emphasized earlier, it's a double-edged sword. So then again, since it amplifies things, it also can be used to amplify things like fake news, misinformation. And with the addition of AI, this domain, it's become even more volatile, because now you have deep fakes, you can clone things, etc. So what do you all have to say about it, regarding this concern, and how can we navigate this issue so that we can use social media to bring real change on ground, but at the same point of time sort of discern what is real from what is fake, so that this entire issue of fake misinformation, it's dealt with.
No, I do totally agree, and I do believe that social media is a big catalyst when it comes to social change. We can take examples from the Black Lives Matter to the Me Too movement. It gives a platform to voices that might have been marginalized, that might go unheard in a lot of other situations. On the other hand, I do agree that sometimes it tends to be an echo chamber. Because of the algorithmic decision making, we are constantly exposed to the similar kind of news or facts or storylines. So yes, it does tend to become an echo chamber, but that is where I think it is vital that we become mature users, where we are able to differentiate between the kind of content that we are consuming.
Certainly, I mean, this was a new point that you brought out, that social media tends to become an echo chamber. But for that, we have solutions. Now various sites, they're changing the algorithm, wherein you can also choose for an algorithm where diametrically opposite viewpoints of yours, interest of yours, they pop up in your feed. So there certainly is a way out for this. And what do you have to say about this, Aditya?
On social media, I would suggest do not trust any news. You should always cross-check how we're talking about what is real, what is not real, even if it's some news, right? So you should see what the source is. You should go to Google, see the website where it's coming from.
Certainly. I mean, whenever you get something that's out of the blue, very surprising news or surprising videos online, it's always better to go and check the source material, to double check so that we are sure, and not just be impulsive enough to just share it.
Abhinandan, there was a time when reporters on ground used to share the news with the anchors, but apart from that, nowadays we have social media journalism where we have social media pages. They just put out the content and no one verifies it whether it is the truth or not. So I think so that has the capacity to even create law and order issues as well. So I think so the government has to regulate all these things because it has the capacity to create a law and order issue as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that even social media platforms must collaborate with the government in this issue, because it's affecting the people at large. And when you have great power, you have great responsibility. So we should use social media more responsibly, right? Because it gives us a voice, so don't misuse it. So before we wrap up, I want to also just talk about the issue of privacy and social media, because lately we have realized that social media is not just a place where we are posting our information and photos, etc. There are social media companies who collect information on the back end. They track our information, and some even sell them to third-party companies for advertising and other purposes. So as users of social media yourself, how do you feel, how concerned a user, especially a young impressionable mind like a youth, should be with respect to their online digital footprint and privacy? And at the same time, what are some ways as users of social media you guys have adopted in order to sort of protect to some extent your digital footprint online?
Today, I think we have to acknowledge and accept that privacy online is not at all guaranteed. It is not at all confirmed. It is honestly all discretionary decisions that we make that have a huge impact where we draw the line between personal and public, the information we want to share, because we have been way more searchable than we have ever been. So I think it takes a responsible individual or a mature individual decision making as to what you want to put out online, because like we've seen, it may be deep fakes or cyberbullying or instances of the way AI is meddling with these things, having a very negative impact. And for me personally, I think again, like I said, that maintaining that line, that border line between what is personal to me and what I'm sharing outside, because honestly I cannot trust a stranger out there, I cannot trust a third person out there. And it is a very primary concern when it comes to social media use.
As she said that we do not want to share some things out there in the public. Me being a creator, obviously I have a lot of digital print out there, right? But I have my private profile as well, where I share my very private things, which I would want to share with my family and close ones. So one thing which you need to do is you need to keep your ID private, and you have to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere else, even if it's out somewhere. You never know, people take screenshots, they reshare it. By the time you delete it, it's already out there.
Aditya said that we can make our profiles private as well, but those who have large number of followers, who have a public profile, there is a threat that your profile can be hacked, your account can be hacked. So two-factor authentication can be turned on to prevent all these things.
So that was very interesting, and I think that you've summed up almost everything that is to talk about youth and social media. So thank you so much for being with us here today. And I feel that conversations like these are very important to have, because as has been emphasized in this entire podcast, social media is shaping our lives. It's no longer a small part of our life, right? And it's important to make informed decisions, informed choices, and use social media in an informed manner. And our viewers get something that they can think about. Maybe it's the time that they spend on social media, or maybe it's the way that they interact with content, the type of content that they interact with, or even, as we just discussed, how they can protect their digital media footprint. So very thank you again for joining us today, and to our viewers, thank you so much for watching Sansad TV. Stay tuned for more such engaging discussions, thought-provoking insights, and conversations that shape the future. Thank you so much. That's it for today. Jai Hind.
To watch more programs of Sansad TV, subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to like and share them.